This week on Monday Motivation, we are talking about strength training. I started strength training about 10 years ago, and it sounds cheesy, but I'm never going to look back. I'm never going to change. It's had some amazing effects on my mind, my body, and also the health of my joints and stuff like that, which I'll go into in a minute. So in this episode, I will talk about why it's so good for you and how you can actually get started. I'll share my story and try to give you some really practical tips on what you can do for you. Welcome to the Monday Motivation Podcast. In this podcast, I like to motivate you in some sort of way, whether that's to move your body, to be kinder to yourself or other people or whatever, by encouraging you, by giving you tips and some of my personal story. And today, I'm going to share my story of getting into strength training, which has now been a 10-year journey for me. And I'm going to tell you the whole journey as quick as possible and hopefully equip you with some confidence and some tips to actually get started today. So, I don't know if you've heard my story before, but I actually got forced to go to the gym. I went to a dance class and I hated it, but afterwards I had completely incredible emotions running through my body, which was hormones. And I realised that in order to have a fighting chance to battle depression, I needed to take hold of those hormones and use them every single day. So I would go to the gym, do the class, walk out, kind of cringe at what I just did, but feel amazing and went about my day. But when I realised that this was going to have to be something I needed to do for the rest of my life, I realised that I needed to find some sort of training that I enjoyed. Now, prior to this, I had knee issues, and apparently it's a knee issue that I will always have had because it was the way that my knee was formed. And what happens is my knee would dislocate quite severely, and I would spend about 6 months in rehab from that every time. It happened twice. Now, the doctor actually told me when I was younger, as a teenager, that I would probably need surgery, but the surgery was a 50-50% success rate, and if it wasn't the good side of the 50, it could actually damage my knee further, and so I really needed to think hard about it. So obviously I said, I don't want to damage my knee further. I'm not willing to take that risk right now, so what else can I do? And he said, you need to lift weights. Now, obviously, that kind of went over my head and I didn't. But then when I came to this time of my life where I was trying to find something that I enjoyed that helped me release these hormones from exercise, I went back to that memory and thought, okay, maybe lifting weights is the thing that I could try. Now, obviously, in this particular gym that I went to, the weight section was upstairs, and with that, it was just full of men, which is fine, but if you're unconfident or feeling insecure in any way, then that can be the most intimidating place. Now, that has changed. I now know that most gyms have quite a lot of females that are confident enough to walk into that area. So please do not let that ever be a boundary for you. Don't let that stop you from walking into a gym. You've got this. You will not be alone like I was. But I did some research. I printed off what I needed to do that session, what the equipment looked like that I needed to grab hold of, and what weight I needed to use. And I printed it all off. I took my little piece of paper and some headphones in with my iPod, and I went straight into that. I claimed my spot, picked my weights up and entered my own little world. I did the work that was on my A4 piece of paper, put the weights away, and I was done and I was out of there. And wow, the next day I remember I hurt so bad. My legs felt like they couldn't move. Going up and down the stairs was a choice that I had to really think hard about. And but I really loved it. I absolutely loved that feeling the next day because it kind of gave me some feedback that I'd done something that had an effect on my body. And, I actually did something, woohoo. And I really enjoyed that. And over time, as I kept following this program that I eventually had to invest some money into to get the program personalized for me, I absolutely loved it. And I saw a change in my mind. I saw a change in the shape of my body as my muscles started to grow. I started to form shapes, started to have curves in places that I didn't think I needed them or wanted them, but when they came, it made me feel so awesome. I actually lost weight via lifting weights too, and the reason I know now is because if you have more muscle, you burn more calories when you actually do your day-to-day stuff. So if we have more muscle and we're going about our day having to use more muscle as we're moving, our bodies need to fuel our body with more calories. So therefore you're using more of your stored calories. So I actually burnt fat, I hate saying that, but I actually lost weight by lifting weights. Obviously your heart rate goes up too when you lift weights, so it is, in my opinion, a form of cardio. And so I kept going back and I kept consistent with this program. It had me going about 3 to 4 times a week. I would go in, I would get onto a cardio machine for 10 to 20 minutes, just really slowly, and that time prepared my mind to shift from work to, okay, this is the time that I'm going to move my body. And then I would get off the cardio machine, I would go and do my stuff, I would get my head down, not look at anyone else, not do anything else, just do my own thing, and then I would stretch and get out. And I would do that 3 to 4 times a week. And my program would tell me how much to increase my weights by each time, what movements I should do each time. And I absolutely loved it. And I did that about for 2 to 3 years and saw amazing effects throughout my whole life. And it was only then when I kept on doing that I thought, oh, I wonder if I could do that faster, or I wonder if I could do that heavier, or I wonder if I could do this with somebody else. And that is what got me into the world of CrossFit. So here I am now doing CrossFit. However, we do still follow the same kind of regime that I did back in the gym then, which was, you always use your biggest muscles, which was your bum, so your legs, your arms, your core. But in CrossFit, the idea is that it's functional fitness. So instead of saying I've got leg day today, you say I've got life day today. And so you strengthen every single muscle that you would probably use in life that day. So let me just summarize. I would go to the gym 3 to 4 times a week and I would lift weights after warming up. And I would do squats, deadlifts, presses, and then some core work nearly every other day of the week. Then I moved into CrossFit, which does the same sort of thing, but it adds some workouts at the end, which grew my cardiovascular loads too. But we're talking about strength training today. There's 3 reasons why I will now train my strength for the rest of my life. I talked about my knees. I now have absolutely no symptoms of the issues that my knees have. So my knee joint isn't correctly formed, and so it's more than likely that one of my leg parts of my leg will pop out of my knee at any time. But because I've done so much squatting now for the last 10 years, I've built the muscle around my joints that will now keep my knee joint in place, and so now I can do so much more. So my first reason for why I will do strength training forever is freedom. Now for me, that freedom looks like being able to use my legs in ways the doctor told me I would never be allowed to do. He said I should never run again, I should never ski, and I should never play tennis. Okay, that's just some of the things. They're the things I remembered because I cared about them. But now I can do those things because now I am strong enough to not sustain any injuries if I did those things. But it also means more freedom in other ways. So if somebody says to me, Zara, can you just ... I say yes, because strength training has made me strong enough to pick things up, to keep going when I'm tired. But then also it's given me the mental resilience to realize that yes, I may be tired, but I can get through another set, or I can get through helping this person out when I'm absolutely fatigued. Strength training, it sounds silly, but by going to the gym consistently and following a program where each time you are challenging yourself, helps your brain realize that you can do more even when you feel like you can't. And so every time you proved that to yourself by lifting the weights, you can do that and practice that in your life as well. So the mental resilience and the physical resilience equals freedom for me to be able to do more in my life. And that is an amazing gift that strength training has given me. Another reason why I'll always do strength training is for my mind. What I realize is in this world, in this life, in the UK or wherever you find yourself, I think that our society is constantly telling us what we are not, or what that person is and what we aren't, and just constantly picking holes in who we are. Now, you may be more emotionally resilient than I am, and so you don't have this issue, but it has been a big issue for me where I find myself constantly thinking about what I can't do. Now, by doing strength training, you are showing yourself practically every single day that you are capable of doing stuff. And slowly but surely, you'll take yourself from a place of feeling like you can't do anything to a place where you can do anything, okay? And that just is by going every single day, challenging yourself, increasing your weights, learning a new movement, trying to perfect your technique, and then eventually you will start to focus on what you can do more than what you can't do. Or you change your identity. If you find yourself saying, I'm not very good at anything, therefore I am nothing, that means you have taken your identity in something. Now, if you can switch your identity from I can't do anything to I can do things, I am a doer, then suddenly you've completely transformed your mind from being somebody that is nothing to somebody that is something. And that will have amazing dramatic effects on the rest of your life. So you need to be choosing to focus on who you are rather than who you are not. And I believe that strength training does that. It definitely does that for me. It almost makes me completely forget about myself, which sometimes I think is really important. It makes me forget about all the things that I'm trying to be, and it helps me to focus on that one moment of just trying to lift that one weight and having complete awareness of my body and my mind. And every single time I practice that awareness, it helps me to zone out of thinking too much about who I am and what I look like, and it just makes me realize about what I can do. That is where I think self-confidence can come from, is when you focus on who you already are. So it has helped me with my self-confidence, and then it has given me the freedom and resilience and awareness over my life. And then the final thing that I feel that strength training has done for me, and the reason why I will do it forever, is because strength training gives you more opportunities in life. Now, what I mean by this, and I did touch on it before, is that now that I am stronger, I am able to do more things, which means that when somebody comes up to me and says, hey, let's go for a hike this weekend, I can say yes, because I know that my body and my mind is strong enough to overcome, obstacles, in which case a mountain. Or maybe it's something that somebody says to me, hey, do you want to come and try hockey this weekend? And in my mind, nothing, I've already overcome hard obstacles in my strength training. So I know that if I can get through that, I can get through hockey, okay? Or to go to the other extreme, I remember when I was giving birth, not only did the midwives compliment me on how strong my body was and how much easier it would make giving birth because I had strong muscles, but also I remember saying to my husband, I cannot do this. I am petrified. I had just stupidly watched a movie where a period drama where somebody had died in childbirth, and I said to my husband, I think this will be the end of me. That's how dramatic I can be. And he said, if you can lift whatever the weight that I could lift at that time, you can get through this. And what he means by that is, it's not science. If I can lift 100 kilos on a squat, it doesn't mean that I can give birth without any issues. But what it does mean is that if I could put in the hard work that it took for me to get from 0 to 100, I can get from the 0 to the 3 days that it took me to give birth to my daughter. Okay, so there is a beautiful journey that takes you from where you are now to the potential that your body has, the potential that your muscles have. And that journey strengthens you physically, emotionally, and mentally to whatever. And I hope that my journey will never end. I really do hope that I will be that granny that wears a Santa outfit in her 90s to the gym, because I want to be strength training forever. When you strength train, your muscles actually tear and they get damaged. But the beauty is that your body has proteins that will go in and fix the muscles. And when they fix the muscles naturally get bigger. And when they get bigger, they get stronger. Okay? Now, this can only happen over, a specific length of time for you. So, you need to find the right length of time that you need to recover. But then you also need to take time to really reflect on where you've been so that you can plan where you're going with your strength training. But just like a diamond is only formed under pressure, we want to form your body under the challenge of lifting weights. So what can you do today to start your strength training journey? What I would recommend is that you invest in yourself a little bit. There are some foundational knowledge that you need in order to start strength training. For example, technique. I would really recommend that you just sign up for a personal training session for 1 or 2 sessions, and you say to your personal trainer, I really need you to teach me the right technique for, and I recommend starting with squat, deadlift, and press. Okay? If you can get the correct technique for those 3 lifts, then you can kind of change and adapt them into different lifts, more complex lifts, but with great technique, which will mean with good technique, you could do them forever and never ever sustain an injury if you maintain your technique. If you start small, maintain your technique, then you can get a little bit and get consistent. You can then make it slightly more intense each time by adding 1 kilo, 2 kilos. And that's actually how I did it. I added 2 kilos every time I did a lift. And it has got me now from 0 squatting without a bar, and now I can lift over 100 kilos with a bar on my back. So remember, invest in a little bit of technique, and then also invest in a plan. Now, I used back in the day an app called 5x5, and I know it's still available now, so do download it and try it out. But I also have my own app, Fitting in Fitness, which you can go on, and I've got a whole course of strength circuits that you can do from home or from your gym that works on your whole body. So functional fitness once again. And basically in just an 8-minute amount of time, I want to prove to you that you can strengthen nearly every single part of your body by completing one of those circuits. So if you download my app, Fitting in Fitness, you can go to the strength circuits section and you can find some ideas there and some actual routines that you can do at home or at the gym. So invest in a plan, whether that is my app, the 5x5 app, or somebody else's plan. Just make sure you get a plan, because when you've got a plan, you're more likely to stick to it and you're more likely to be consistent, which is what we need to do here. And then you need to also take some time to plan recovery and to plan a little bit of reflection. Notice where you've come from, where you are now, and where you want to be in the future. And like we've said in previous podcast episodes, that is how you stay motivated. By taking the time to reflect on where you've been, where you are, and where you're going will help you to keep that vision so that you can keep on moving. So today, don't go out and buy tons of weights. First, plan. What would you like to lift? What would you like to move? What movements would you like to develop? Then you can then take what you have got at home, so whether you have got weights at home or you've got a backpack full of books, and start practicing those. Try and decide where your areas of weakness are, and then consider investing in asking someone for some help in your technique and in a plan. Then you need to get consistent and actually do the work 3 to 4 times a week, strength training with some rest in between, making sure that you're eating lots of protein to help your body recover so that you can actually lift the next day, getting tons of sleep, and then making sure you get there the next day. and keep consistent and just try your best to fall in love with the process, because the second you fall in love with it, time will flash. You will blink and then suddenly you'll be able to lift tons, and you'll have completely forgotten about those awkward first few steps that you took into the weight training area. Do take a friend into the weight training area too. There's no reason why you both can't do the same movement, even if you're not using the same weights. So start small, perfect your technique, be consistent, and then build up the intensity, build up the weight. And just whatever you do, take the time to enjoy it. Take pictures, write down notes, whatever you can do to make yourself love it even more. Share it with a friend and just get started. Strength training is and should be for everyone. Everyone needs a stronger body, a stronger mind to be more resilient, and generally we all need bigger muscles. That is it. That is all I've got for you today. I hope you are great. I hope this leaves you well and motivated for the rest of the week. Make it your best one yet, and go ahead and make sure you smile at 5 people this week. All right.